Well, welcome back to Chiefs fans before we were cool. I'm Joel.
Yep. We're still not sure if we're cool or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
I'm
need
not
we need we need help.
maybe not cool, but at least we know I'm Joel and you're Eric and we're Chiefs fans.
Yeah, yeah. At
So
least we know we're Chiefs fans.
yeah,
So,
for sure. For sure.
you know.
It's an important thing to get right. I'd rather be a Chiefs fan than be cool. Um, but I
I
think you
guess.
can be both. I think you can be both technically. I haven't always accomplished that well.
Well, I think actually it's getting harder and harder,
Yeah.
at least the way people act. If we keep winning, we're the new Patriots
Yeah.
in the world. Like you just why do we have to see you in the Super Bowl all the time? And I'm like, I don't know, get good.
Yeah.
Like
I'll tell you what, and we'll go on to the memes after this. But I'm sure the NFL is hoping there's a Chiefs Super Bowl if Travis and Taylor are still together because the games have viewership has gone up. So they're praying for that, I'm pretty sure.
don't feed the conspiracies, Joel. Not
I'm
after
not I
that
don't believe it's
holding
rigged or
call.
anything like that, but I'm just saying like they're like I think that they financially they're like that would work well if that happens. But
Yeah, they don't really have to work too hard. The Chiefs do a good job of doing pretty well.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yep.
But yeah,
We'll start us off with some memes, like always. This time, Eric, I'll just have you read them all as we get to them, but there are none insulting the Cowboys this week. So you should be
good,
safe.
good.
Yeah, so if you want to pull up those memes, we can get to those.
Yeah, I'll pull them up for just a second. Maybe you should pull them up. I Are they in this?
I sent you them in a Discord message.
Oh, perfect.
So there you go.
You know that time where you had it. Okay, here we go. Going through the memes.
All
Here
right.
we go.
So ready for number
Excited
one?
about this meme. Meme number one. Okay, okay. So the first one we got doing a QB sneak on 3-1, fumbling the snap but picking up the first anyway.
It was
So
it was like an unintentional quarterback sneak on that
yeah,
play.
yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, that was a little goofy. I was like, oh, well, all right, we'll take
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We'll take it.
It was interesting. So it's
Yeah,
it's
that's a good one. Next
all
one,
right.
Jets when they get a bad call in their favor. Jets when a call goes against them. Oh, we'll talk about that one more too.
Yeah, that
If you're
obviously
like,
was a big
yeah,
deal this week in a lot of people's opinion.
people can get really upset, but at a certain point,
Yeah,
like, I don't know. We'll talk about that more. We'll talk about that more
yep.
later. But yeah, that call.
All right, number
One
three.
of these two is someone who likes to be an attention-seeking diva who isn't even playing football, but NBC keeps showing them. The other is Taylor Swift.
I saw that right after the game and
Yeah,
immediately screenshotted it because the setup is too good. You know where it's
it
going, but
is
it's
too
still
good.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, especially after last year, Aaron Rodgers was like made a huge deal about a bunch of stuff over the COVID years. He was making a
Yeah,
big deal about stuff, and he just seems to really care about his public image, but doesn't necessarily treat everybody very well. I don't
yeah,
know. He kind of does his own thing. He's a great quarterback. He's a great, he does a lot of things. I don't, especially after his injury, I don't mean to speak badly of it, poorly of him, but
yeah,
it does
yeah,
seem like that the diva comment is there's something to that.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. Everyone has an opinion on Aaron Rodgers. There's nobody who's neutral about him.
yeah, that's
So
true. That's true.
yeah.
Next one, Joe Burrow contract so far. It's been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever.
Uh just gotta throw in
Yeah,
a shot against the Bengals every now and then, you know.
pretty much every episode. I don't know if we've gotten
I don't know if people can tell that I have probably the Bengals are my least favorite team. Uh but yeah, so anyway,
Yeah, I mean they beat us pretty good for a few games.
yeah.
So yeah, the Joe Biden contract. I don't know. Sorry, the Joe Burrow contract. I'm saying Joe Biden because of
It's
Trump.
Trump
Anyway, it
on it.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The I don't know. I think that's a fine contract. He is a good quarterback, and even if I don't love the Bengals, he's a really accurate passer, and
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's
he doesn't
anything.
he'll do well. He's injured, I think. I think he's more injured than
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
whatever he's
conflict
dealing
with
with
the
is.
coaching stuff because it's like, I think, in my opinion, they shouldn't have been starting him if he wasn't healthy because I think it's taken him longer to get healthy. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is true or not, but I saw today someone was reporting that apparently Jamar Chase has been having conflict with a coach and asked to be traded. So I don't know if that's true or not, but obviously that's a big deal if that turns out to be true. Um, I know he had some frustration after last game anyway, but
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
couldn't resist with
Yeah,
this meme.
it's
So, I had to.
yeah. Well, yeah, it's okay. It's a Chiefs podcast though, so we got to keep going, even
Yep.
even if you want to get your little shot at
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill when the Chiefs get too much coverage. What did he say this time? I didn't catch that one.
Oh, I saw today that he basically said, yeah, the refs gave the Chiefs the win against the Jets, and the refs gave the Chiefs the win against the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Of course.
Was
Yeah.
basically what he was saying. So but
Sauce
again, we'll talk about all
Gardner
that later.
holding MBS. I can't believe the refs.
So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of these had to be made about that, right? There's this that's what people talked about this week. And then finally, this was my favorite one personally.
But didn't he Sauce Gardner. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. And then Mahomes on 3rd and long. Fine. I'll do it myself.
If I had good
Yeah,
Photoshop skills, I would have put
it's
Mahomes'
true.
face there.
That
But
run, are you talking about that 3rd and long where it's like
yeah,
3rd and 17?
yeah,
Yeah, that was something to watch for sure.
yeah,
For sure. So
yeah,
really, I mean, obviously he is paying attention and he knows how much he can get, with the yards. And then I'm sure the Jets were just like, oh my word, what were we doing?
yeah,
And so good job, Mahomes, for reading that right and getting the yards
for
on the
real.
ground. He's been doing that a lot recently. I don't know if that's because receivers aren't getting open enough or
Yeah,
what.
yeah,
I mean, the Jets defense is good, so um, like
yeah. The Jets have
that's
real
reality.
solid
But yeah,
defense, but yeah. So that's our memes for the week.
there's our memes.
Yep. So they'll keep on memeing, and I'll try to do less
Keep
Bengals one
memeing.
until we play them. So I'll try to resist the urge.
Privacy hurts.
You
Two
should
more
see
Joe
how many more
Burrows.
I send of those same kind to my dad each week, like via text, versus what I actually include in here. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I actually have a secret segment for you, Joel,
Okay.
that I worked on
Secrets.
because the secret segment, and I'm calling it Brother Wonders.
Other wonders.
Um,
All
because my
right.
brother wonders about things, and I
Yeah.
asked him to wonder about things that we could
Okay.
do, questions we could answer. So I have 3 questions for you. The
Okay.
prize,
All right.
and
I'm
that
a little
you better
nervous.
answer it. He was
Okay.
very disappointed that our podcast was a day late this week, so
Okay.
you need to make it up for him.
Yep.
So, if you could bring back one Chiefs player besides Tyreek Hill for the rest of the year, who would it be?
Oh man. I'm sure that there's some people listening to this who are older than we are who will say some names that are like, man, why didn't you say this person? Right. Like some of the people that are, like that I don't remember watching, right? Or I didn't see. Um, I think I'd have to say Jamal Charles.
Oh yeah.
Like, I
Oh,
mean,
that's interesting.
Pacheco's
Yeah, I
doing
took it as
great. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Did you take it
yeah.
as not all time, but like current
Present
player?
players.
Oh, okay.
Because of the Tyreek exception. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then,
Are there any present players you would do?
yeah, let me
I'm just
think
curious
for a
if you picked
second.
the same one I did.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wants Frank Clark again with Chris Jones would be pretty good, but let me
Okay.
think if there's an obvious one that I'm missing. Um, Yeah, who did you pick?
I picked Travarius Ward.
Okay.
He is dominating for the Niners, like one of the highest rated
Yeah.
cornerbacks. And obviously our cornerback room is strong, our secondary is pretty strong, but like having a
Yeah.
player like that, especially with our schemes that we like to play a lot of man,
Yeah. Yeah,
whew, he's
that's
like
true.
one of the best man
Yeah.
quarterbacks out there right now.
Oh, well then actually I know it's kind of lame to change my answer now. I would actually say Tyron Matthew would be one that I would think.
Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about him. He's
Um
doing all right.
yeah, he's doing all
I
right.
still feel like Ward's a little bit more in his prime, and Matthew's doing
Yeah.
great and with the Saints and stuff. But
Yeah, and obviously that would just be a bolster. Like our defense is playing really well. But now I'm curious though, if you were thinking anyone in Chiefs history, who would you pick?
oh my, Priest Holmes,
Oh yeah,
go
that'd be a good
a little bit
one.
older.
Yeah,
I mean, he was so dominant. Like even
yeah.
Jamal Charles was good, but Priest Holmes
Oh
was
man,
so good.
I also might be tempted to say Dante Hall just because having someone consistently catch punts would take a lot of stress out of my life.
Don't
So
do it. Don't
yeah,
do it. Dante Hall, this is maybe a bad take at a Chiefs podcast. I feel like he was a little overrated. I felt like he had the good returns, but then he would run backwards sometimes and not get the turn.
yeah. And it feels like if you could have any great, you don't want to use someone who just punt return. Like he would do some snaps as receiver, but very little.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
okay. What's the next question?
Okay, next question. How good would the Bears be if they drafted Patrick Mahomes? Um,
Yeah,
they drafted Trubisky that year. Um,
yeah. It's because in one sense you say one of the Bears' problems is their defense is really bad. But obviously you think if they drafted Mahomes, then they would have draft picks that they use on other players, like like Justin Fields, right? That they could use on that. I think, but ignoring that, right? If you just put Mahomes in that same team right now, I think they're obviously going to be significantly better. I think they're going to have a hard time with their defense. I think it's going to be a lot like Mahomes' year with the Chiefs, where it's basically like, can he put up enough points to counteract the defense? So I wouldn't necessarily put them as um a favorite, but I would think that they would be definitely a playoff contender personally if Mahomes was on that team. But
yeah, I think maybe my thought was a little lower. I think with quarterbacks, the situation makes a huge difference, like way more than we think. And
mm-hmm.
Mahomes is amazing, and obviously would have probably been pretty dominant with any coaching staff. But being with Andy Reid, I think really made a difference in
Yeah,
making him who it was. It's like, like being with Belichick really made a difference for Tom Brady. Having that stability and just good general coaching
yeah,
is a big deal. I think like we have these. I would view them kind of like the Chargers are, honestly.
yeah, that's fair. One the thing
Super
I
good.
sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I just think like you said, Justin Herbert I think is really good. Not Mahomes level, but yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think there's enough similarities that if he has a different coaching staff, maybe he's a little better, Mahomes is a little
yeah.
worse,
Loses a lot of
stuff
close
like that.
games. Um,
Yeah,
I also think like right, Mahomes has all the physical talent in the world. We'll never really know. I mean, Mahomes gives him credit, but like how much that kind of more methodical approach that Alex Smith had mentoring him, how much of a benefit that was. I suspect that was a really good thing for Mahomes. So if you didn't
yeah,
have that, it'd be a different situation too. Yeah, these are
yeah.
great
So
questions.
that's yeah. I brother wonders good things. Um, this one's a good funny one, and maybe a good
Okay.
segue into the game and some other stuff. Do you think Taylor Swift knows more about football or Travis knows more about songwriting?
That's not where I thought that question was going to go. I think Taylor Swift probably knows more about football than Travis knows about songwriting.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard because it's like both of them, like Travis probably knows a bit about songs and music.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he's probably messed around with recording stuff in the past and just had fun and stuff. But
You know,
I think it's probably right. Taylor probably understands a good bit more than people would probably give her credit for.
I feel like
Um,
that's a question that needs to be asked on the no dumb questions for the new heights.
see
Although
if we can get it onto
see if we can
the
get on. I think though that
new
they are
heights.
intentionally not going to want to talk a lot about the dating situation there. So I don't know if they'll answer it, but that is a really good
Yeah,
question. So
yeah.
you could give your
I like
brother
the.
thumbs up.
Did you see the thing about LeBron James asking to be on New
Yeah,
Heights?
yeah, I saw that. Uh, if you haven't
But
watched or listened to the New Heights podcast, it's the Kelsey
oh, they're
brothers.
doing
It's
it.
really
Like I
good.
mean,
Like,
100%.
yeah,
It's tweeted. He knew what he was doing. He's like, I
yeah,
want to be on this podcast. They'll make it work.
yeah.
So funny.
They're giving out, a friend texted me this in Cleveland, I guess they're giving out a Kelsey brothers bobblehead for a Cavs game coming up soon.
Oh, that's
And
so funny.
I told my friend, please go get me one. I don't know if he'll be able to, but
Yeah, that's so
so
funny. All right, let's get to the game. We
yes.
gotta get to the meat of this matchup for sure.
Well, as you know, Eric, I was at the game this week. So I went up to, well, technically New Jersey with my wife and my dad, about 4 hours for us, since we don't live there anymore. And we got to go see the Chiefs play. I haven't been to a Chiefs game. Okay, the last Chiefs game I went to was when Smith was starting. It was the playoffs when we lost to the Titans at Arrowhead. So it had been a minute. But we got to
Yeah,
go, and it was an awesome experience. But we'll talk more about that as we talk about the game, I'm sure.
sure. Yeah. Okay. Just general reaction to the game. Defense is still, I don't know. I didn't love the game. I think we did what we do often, where we get ahead and then we take the foot off the gas.
Yeah,
Which is fair. Like we're good enough, but I think sometimes we just get a little complacent with those leads. I almost always feel more comfortable going into a game where it's close at halftime,
yeah,
or we're down by 3 or 7, even 10. Like,
yeah,
oh, we're good, we got this. And then I do sometimes when we're like, oh, we're up by 8, or we were up by 17 early, and then we don't do anything. I think
yeah,
back to that Houston game where we came back huge,
yeah, yeah,
and um, but like, yeah, but I did, yeah. Anyway, that was kind of my thought. It was kind of
yeah,
unnerving, not really. Like I know we're going to be fine, and the fact that we pulled out the win is great. I
yeah,
think no
yeah.
harm done.
Right. Winning on the road is is hard to do, but it's important. And I think another just takeaway from the game, big picture, is I think it's really easy to go into especially a road game after having a dominant game the week before and struggle. Obviously, the Dolphins struggled. They last 2 weeks ago they looked like, could anybody beat them? Last week they didn't look good, right, against the Bills. And we avoided getting that upset. I think you're right. The defense got complacent. I think Mahomes tried to do a little bit too much to make up for the receivers not getting open enough a couple times, but we pulled through. And the Jets defense obviously is no joke. That's a really good defensive unit there.
Yeah, it just seemed like Mahomes was just made a couple of mistakes, a couple throws got away from him.
Yeah,
It seemed like he had a lot of pressure, so maybe that
yeah,
was part of it. But the little floaters where he's like trying to be maybe a little too cute with the throws, or whatever the
yeah,
case may be.
yeah,
Just a couple got away with him, and like you said, that Jets team and those cornerback safeties are no joke. The
yeah,
secondary is nasty.
yeah. Particularly, it seems like once we started taking what they would give us, they seem to have a kind of bend, don't break defense. Like we could pick up little stuff, but once we got into the red zone, I'm trying to remember. I think the two touchdowns we scored were from outside the red zone or from like the very edge of the red zone. Like I don't think once we got in close, we scored a touchdown um
Mm.
during the
Yeah,
game.
I mean a 50-yard rush
Yeah.
Pacheco.
and then was it Gray? Did he have the
Yeah.
and so but once we get backed up to the end zone or up to the end zone, there's not that little stuff. They were good at taking away those yards.
Mhm. Sure. Until the end of the game where
Until the end of the
Mahomes
game.
rushed
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then took a knee, but wisely.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, fantasy managers of Mahomes.
Sorry, fantasy managers. Sorry for people who were betting, against the spread, right?
Brad, yeah.
But yeah, it was a tense game. There was a lot of Chiefs fans there. They traveled pretty well. Some from, around the area like we were. Some came from, we talked to Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas. Lots of back and forth between fans at that game. I've noticed a lot of fights in the NFL this year. Like I've seen a lot more videos online, and I saw two people in line for concession get right in each other's faces, and I thought they were going to throw down. So, yeah.
That's weird. Yeah. So, what were some things that were different about the game from your vantage point watching it?
Yeah.
Then,
So one of the things from, when you're at the game, you don't get the commentators, right? So I'm up in the nosebleeds, and that horse collar tackle, to me, from where I could tell, it looked like grabbing the jersey based on where the hand was. But I was like, I can't really see it. Obviously, there was some controversy surrounding that. And then I didn't know till after the game that there was a lot of controversy regarding the safety call, because I guess, maybe the face mask was done outside of the end zone.
yeah.
But you don't get any of that back and forth. And so until the end of the game, I didn't realize, there's not just one, the way people talk about it this week was there's one controversial call and it went against the Jets. But that's not the entirety of the situation, right?
Right.
You don't get the expert opinions. There's also no yellow line, in case you forgot. You have to look for where the first down markers are on the sidelines. So
Mm.
but yeah, I want to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on those calls in particular, because I didn't hear any commentary on those.
Yeah. I mean, you're watching it, and I think calls that go against you or aren't quite right, you kind of live with it. Both those calls, the horse collar, it makes sense why the rest would have called that based on what you saw.
Yeah.
And then you play it back and you're like, oh, that wasn't actually a horse collar. And the safety, oh, that wasn't quite a safety. They were like explaining he has to start. I was like, how did he not start before the end zone? But I mean, like it is what it is. It was close enough. Like it was close
Yeah.
enough for the refs to think it was. And same thing with that call at the end. It's funny to me, like people do seem to make a big deal at the end if there's a call that kind of decides the game. But ultimately, it's like I just looking at it, I don't see how somebody could do something like that and expect to get away with it. And maybe stuff like that happens on other plays, and you did get away with it, but that doesn't mean that time
Yeah.
it was right. Like Mahomes saw it, and like Mahomes threw the throw he threw in part because he was pretty sure it was a holding.
Yeah.
Like,
It's trying to draw
he's
attention
not.
to it,
Yeah, he was, and it did seem to mess up the route.
Well, I'm not sure.
And it
Oh,
was 15 yards downfield. Hey, yeah, you're doing that. You have to live with it about it.
yeah.
But
Um,
like, I don't know. Like, you're just like, if it can go either way, it can go against you. And if it's in a tight thing, then you play clean. Like,
yeah.
play
And
clean.
I think
And
a thing people forget about the game, right, is the Chiefs were up when that call was made, right? It let them seal the game. But it's not like that call gave them, they were behind, and that, like the Chiefs were up, and Zach Wilson played a lot better than anyone expected him to. but I don't think we can assume that had the Chiefs been forced to punt there, that Chris Jones was not going to make another big play, right? Like the Jets scoring again is not, it's not for, we can't say that for sure is going to happen, right? But that's my
Yeah,
thought.
maybe they get it to overtime,
Yeah.
and then it's still more. But it's just one of those things where I think people give refs a hard time in ways that it's like, I don't know, like you're you're looking at it, you're like, that's not holding it. You haven't called that all game, and you gotta let the people play. And you can say all you want stuff at the end of the game because they know that refs are pressured to let people play. And so they'll try to push those rules. They'll try to grab a little jersey. Um,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing is going to mess up routes and it's going to make it harder for the offense. It's kind of like pick up at the end of you know, I don't want it to be like pick up basketball when this person's 1 point away and everybody just fouls them every time. Sends
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
back to the front. Like it's just annoying and people get hurt and so I don't know. It's easy to say as a Chiefs fan this week. Maybe next week we have a different story and I'm a little bit sad.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a product of people being like, hey, Chiefs are winning a lot. I wish other people would be winning. And so anytime there's something like that, they're like, oh, the Chiefs always get the calls. Like and to be fair, like I said about New England all the time,
Yeah.
when they were
Yeah.
winning. And I think Jason actually made a good point. Like good teams, when they get these calls, close out the game.
Yeah. Mhm.
Other teams get these calls, but then they don't close out the game, so it's not as big of a deal. But Chiefs, if they get that call, they're going to close out the game, and they did. Mahomes ran for 7 yards and dropped down and then won. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it I'm sure it can be frustrating for a defensive player, right? That the refs don't necessarily call things consistently. But again, it's like everybody pushes the limits, right? And so if you eventually you're gonna get called. And there are times calls are bad. There are times things aren't called, right? Like it's the nature of the game. And it can be frustrating, but it happens for teams. It happens not it happens against teams. I think of the Eagles against the 49ers had that really deep ball that was called a reception and they hurried up and snapped the ball, right? And then later it was revealed it was incomplete. He didn't get 2 feet in, or he's bobbling when he went out of bounds or something. But obviously in real time, you can't check all those things. And we don't want the game to become everything gets reviewed automatically because that makes the game so slow. So kind of lighten the mood a little bit. I'll share a story as we're, going up into the stadium. Obviously we're way top, so it takes a while to get there. You're taking all these escalators, there's tons of people. And the Jets fans keep doing their team chant, which is like, I think it's JETS Jets. And then they say Jets 3 times or something, whatever. And then there's a Chiefs fan behind us on the escalator. Every time they finished, would shout at the top of their lungs, "Are gonna lose!" And just kept doing it every time that they did their chant. And I was like, she probably didn't have a voice by the end of the game, but I'm also sure she didn't care. So
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you were saying that there was pretty good turnout for the
yeah.
game.
Yeah. Especially the Chiefs sideline that looked like there's more red than green, but there was a lot of red there. And this kind of, I think maybe this could be kind of help us go into cool, uncool a
Yeah,
little bit. One thing that I think is cool now about where the Chiefs are is I would see a lot of families there where the dad might be wearing a Jets shirt, or for another team like a Bills shirt, and then the son is wearing a Mahomes jersey. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, all these Chiefs bandwagon fans or whatever. But I was like, man, it's just fun. It's just really cool to be the team that people want to watch. And I don't care if somebody just picks Mahomes because he's really good. I mean, he's so fun to watch that I can see why so many young kids who are just getting into the football are like, oh, that's my favorite player because look at what he can do, right? I just think that's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's a good segue. I thought it was cool. I thought Pacheco was really cool, and that 48 run touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that made me really excited. We haven't had that many really good strong runs
Yeah.
recently since Kareem Hunt, really, where there's exciting runs.
Yep.
And so that was exciting and really cool to see.
Yeah. Of
Do you have
another.
anything uncool?
Let me do one more cool first, and then I'll get to
Okay.
an uncool. Another cool was Mahomes became the fastest player to 200 passing touchdowns. Um,
Woo.
and not only that, apparently he had to ask somebody when they announced that he broke a record, what record he had broken, because he's not just out there thinking, "Oh, I'm going to break this record this week." He's just out there trying to win football games.
Yeah,
And I just thought that was really cool.
pretty cool.
You're,
Uncool, Mahomes throwing 2 interceptions.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
pretty easy one. Like
yeah.
again, I think they were kind of cute. He was trying to float them, and
Mm-hmm.
he does a lot of really cool throws, and sometimes they get away from you. They did those 2 times.
Yeah. I'll say my uncool is that whole drive right after halftime where it seemed like we were committed to, I don't know, man or whatever it was, being man on the outside, and just that they just marched down that field pretty quickly and scored. Um, Obviously the defense kind of stepped up after that, but it's like, man, that is not what you want to have happen.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts looking forward to this game at Minnesota against
Yeah.
Minnesota?
So, I don't know. Did you watch the Netflix series Quarterback? Yeah. So like I told
I did
oh,
not.
you didn't know. It's worth a watch. It follows Mahomes, Mariota, and Cousins. And honestly, there's probably not a nicer guy in the NFL than Kirk Cousins. So obviously I'm hoping he can have a good game while still losing. Right. Like obviously the Chiefs winning is the most important thing to, but I think we can't. I'm glad we had a tough week this week because I don't think you can sit on the Vikings. I think they've lost a lot of close games, and so they're better than their record says.
Yeah.
And obviously Jefferson will be a good test for our defense.
Ooh, man.
So
Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
I think Jefferson's probably going to go off just the way that we play receivers. Maybe we'll contain him, but we tend to give up pretty good receiving yardage to elite receivers.
Yeah.
Um, I I like Kirk Cousin. Like you said, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I kind of hope he doesn't do as well because I'm trying to trade for him on fantasy, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't want him to do too well, so I can maybe get a quarterback upgrade
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fun. Um, I like Minnesota. I think you're right. They were worse than the record was last year, but they're better than their record is this year.
Yeah.
Um, and so we'll see how they play. I kind of cheer for them. I have a good, I mean, at least a pretty good friend here that is a big Vikings fan. I just always think about her every time they could lose
Yeah.
and like feel bad for her because they're just that team that's been on the cusp for so long.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
they really feel like the Chiefs were with Andy Reid before Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I feel about him, and I feel bad. It's kind of a hard place to be. It kind of you're like, well, at least it's exciting. You have really cool. You have a great receiver, and your
Yeah.
quarterback's solid. Uh, but um, but yeah, I don't think they're quite to that level. So we'll see how
Yeah.
they go, how they
And
do going forward.
mhm.
I obviously hoping for Chiefs win, hoping that we can keep pressing down, and it's a good test, like you said, for our defense. I think it's the best. It's going to be a good thing for them to face offense like that
Yeah.
because they are pretty electric.
Yep. Yeah. So we just need to not if we get ahead, we need to not have a repeat of last week, and we need to continue to play like it's a close game the whole time. So, I think we should say this ahead of time too. Most of the time we end up recording these on Thursdays. This week we will have to record before Thursday this coming week to talk about the Vikings game, and then we'll have to record after Thursday to talk about the Chiefs game, because we're playing Sunday afternoon this week and Thursday next week. So it's like we'll have to record like twice in a week because we can't record on our normal day, but 2 Chiefs game in a week is a pretty good thing. So
yeah, that's I'll be looking forward to it for sure. Yeah, and if we're gonna do a little bit before, I think I can save any funny stats for that. So
yeah, and you can see about that. I like that Brother Wonders. That's a good thing. So you can see if he has any more things to wonder about. And if you are listening, let us know in the comments what you wonder about. Because
yeah, I'd love to have more fan submissions and be able to kind of explore some things.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Yeah, we like doing this, and we'd love to interact with you more, because we just do this because we like the Chiefs and we like talking about them. And so hopefully that's why you're listening. Yeah. Okay.
100%. All right. Well, I think it's. Sorry, your internet's kind of going out.
Yeah, I guess that's the sign. Internet's dying. We're gonna close off. So thanks for being here with us today.
All right. Yeah. See y'all next time. Stay cool or uncool.
Either's fine.
Be Chiefs fans.
Yeah, that's the lesson.
Be Chief fan.
Yeah.
Be cool. Maybe.